Alrighty, so we are in episode number 4. This is 4 days in a row that we've having this recorded conversation. Still getting to grips with what kind of software to use and the style of the show. It's funny just to note that we're slowly going up in terms of number of views each day. It's embarrassingly low, but it's increasing day by day so far. So we won't boast about we're getting lots of views yet, but if you do happen to catch us at these early episodes and you got tips and advice, then we're all ears. We want to learn and we're going to keep going. And then we're going to start to have successes, experiment with things, and we'll be able to share our best practice with the newbies once we're no longer newbies. And that's how it goes. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, the shenanigans that we see in the market, the things that we see in social media, the influencers and where they get their information from and whether you can really trust them or not. And we'll also look at AI tools, and Dom can demo us what's starting to happen in the world of AI with crypto analysis. So that's the of the land for this conversation. Dom, any opening reflections here?
Yeah, no, I like it. It's a process, and as you're saying, like, that's how it goes. You start off with newbies, and then you learn and you share. It's just it's interesting. You're getting into something brand new that you really, I mean, at least I haven't done much of before, and but it's kind of fun, right? Like it feeds your brain a little bit, right? It gives you something new to think about, learn about. You end up picking up a lot of new skills. So I recommend it. I recommend that, like, you know, try things, right? Like, I know that I always wanted to write a book. That was some life goal I had. And when I finally did it, it gave me such an appreciation for what it takes to write a book that I swear to God, I've enjoyed every book since so much more because I feel like I can sit there and go, wow, they wrote this 200-page book. I know what that takes. Not that my book was great or anything. It is what it is, but that wasn't the point, right? It was at least I know what that's like. It's just
Mm.
such a cool experience. But to stay on topic, as someone who got into a lot of compliance stuff in the space years ago, that was my startup. Was about um, trying to get ahead of the financial compliance. Like, I knew this stuff was coming. I knew that we weren't going to get away with this sort of crypto anarchist landscape forever. And I thought it was better if the industry would sort of try to develop its own best practices and maybe get lucky and be able to kind of hand the regulators our playbook and go, hey, this is how we're doing it. We're still following your rules, but maybe we're doing it a little differently. Like, for example, I felt we could change the way that we do the know your customer or the infamous KYC. Maybe we could just do it once and it could be part of a decentralized blockchain identity and so on and so forth. What we've seen now recently is the SEC just overreaching, like, more than I ever anticipated. I mean, Gensler, like, the balls on that guy. I mean, it's unbelievable. We're not talking like, it's not Gavin Dom's little public, DeFi blockchain here that the SEC is playing with, right? Like, this is Grayscale and BlackRock, like, who want to put ETFs together. These are the big boys, right? These are the big boys. These are the richest, most powerful financial firms on the planet. And guess what? He lost, right? He lost. They took him to court and they said, "This is ridiculous. You're holding. We're talking about a Bitcoin ETF here. This isn't fancy exotic DeFi crypto, right? This is just a way. Frankly, as a regulator, you'd think you'd want this. It's a way for anyone to safely buy crypto and not have to deal with wallets and not have to deal with exchanges and not have to deal with sending dollars up and down all over the place. It's all right, great. There's a CTF. I want exposure to cryptocurrency. Give me $1,000 worth of that. That's it. This is a very simple product. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I mean, I think this is ridiculous, and I hope to God that these guys keep winning because it's just long overdue.
Yeah, picked up on SEC shenanigans during the original Ripple case that
Mhm.
they raised against them. That's been going on for about 2 years. Can you hear that, by the way, in the background? That thunder.
Thunder and lightning.
That is, isn't that amazing? It means I'm probably going to have rain over here in the jungle this afternoon. Um, it's still rumbling through. Wow.
Well, you didn't know that
Yeah.
our podcast was weather dependent.
No, it is. If it rains heavy, then the Wi-Fi cuts out. I've got Starlink from Elon Musk over here,
Ugh,
and when it rains heavy, it just cuts out. I have no internet.
ugh.
No sunshine also means no electricity anyway. So, and here I am running a podcast. Back to the point. Yeah, SEC. It's just astonishing. You mentioned anarchy, right? Crypto anarchy in the early days. Well, it's anarchy over at the SEC. They think
Nice.
they can do whatever they want to do,
Yeah.
and they just got the smackdown from a court of law that is I can't remember the words that are used against the SEC, but they're saying like it's like breaking the law, and it's whatever this word was like
Mhm.
just hypercritical of the SEC, which is good news for us. Hopefully, they're just going to get rid of Ginsler, right?
Yeah.
Finally, and we might see some good news and some. The trouble is with the price chart. When it was just the other day that we had very good news, like I think it was this grayscale SEC case, the Bitcoin price jumped like $1,000, and then over the next couple of days, it's retraced all the way back down to the flat line where it was again, and now it's looking heavy and looking like it's going lower potentially.
Hmm.
So it's interesting how the news cycle and the news spin affects things. I used to be very, very much in favor of technical analysis. And then I realized that a lot of the geopolitical machinations affect the, they can short term manipulate the price in any direction that they want for their own
Mhm.
benefit, their own favor. So when you come to technical analysis, you've got to have, we get to that in the next section, I guess, a healthy dose of skepticism when you're listening to the crypto influencers and so-called traders who are on YouTube showing you 15-minute charts and trying to teach you technical analysis on a really small time frame, you have to have your vigilance and really take that with a very big pinch of salt.
No, you do. I mean, we've seen that over and over again, that there's a lot of sentiment, but, um, this is the type of thing, though. I mean, there was good reason it would have jumped up a little bit. I mean, I'm reading here, it's saying expects a spot Bitcoin ETF market, and that'd be the whole market because there's multiple people. This was Grayscale, but like I said, there's numerous financial conglomerates, institutions looking to put together their own ETFs. But it said, the market would be sizable, reaching 10% of Bitcoin's market cap in 2 to 3 years. It'll be 10% of the market would get, and I think that's probably conservative, to be honest, depending, of course, right? We get a bull run, I think you'd see clamoring here, right? I mean, you'll see a lot of people who haven't, remember, lots of people, family offices, right? Your other institutional, like, that universities and everything manage, right? Their trusts, and they have rules. They can't just go buy Bitcoin on Coinbase. It's not something that is legit. I think we lost you there, Gav. Or is the
Uh,
rain getting you? There you are.
Sovereign funds, the wealth funds that
Mhm.
countries themselves manage, and yeah, the endowment funds, the universities. Like it's unbelievable that universities charge such high fees for tuition, but
I know.
they also invest to make a heck of a lot more money just on the profitability of their investments.
Yep.
Pretty interesting business model right there. So what we can actually do, because we're kind of on this topic of crypto, if you want to share the grayscale news item, then we can share the screen. But we've got a debut screen sharing on our podcast for the first time ever, episode number 4.
I still
And
with I can
I've
throw
got
this in the
something.
chat. Will that show up if I do that?
Uh,
Let me find out. Anyway, I'll play with this. You keep going. We'll get it over
All
before.
right. Well,
It's easily
I'm
fun.
gonna share. Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen here and show a couple of the observations I've made in the yesterday. I think both of these just yesterday. So if I click on that, just
Yeah, that's the link.
uh, oh, you've got that's the news. I don't want to share that one. Huh? How do I unshare what I've stopped screen share? Here we go. Try again.
We're learning. This is
We
new.
are. This is all live
Here we
on the
go.
fly. Here we go. So check this out. 17 hours ago, this guy said, I just sold all my Bitcoin. Here is why. And he's got this like analysis. He gave no reference to the source. So this guy, Mr. Crypto, he's got 500,000 followers on his account. And you'd think that he's either doing the analysis himself or at least he's going to give credit where credit is due. You know, when you got 500,000 followers, this guy, um, 3 hours. Sorry, this guy's the one with 500,000. He did 3 hours. And yeah, I think he's repainted the same chart, probably took him 5 minutes, but he's just blatantly ripped this guy off. Or maybe they're all ripping each other off, or they've ripped it off from someone else. We just don't know. So my point here, my message is Crypto Rover with 500,000 followers, he is not the source of his information. He's repeating, repurposing. He probably does not know what he's talking about. And this analysis is very weak anyway. This
Mhm.
does not signal to me that this is like definitely going down from this point. There's a lot more involved in technical analysis. These kind of diagonal resistance lines are weak points of analysis. And it's just not a very good job. There's no reasoning, there's no reference. So what I'm saying is buyer beware, be careful of the kind of people that you're following. I want to show one more because this is pretty entertaining. So these are two pretty well-known personalities in the crypto YouTube influence space. This guy 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and this guy 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So near enough the exact same times. And look at what this one's saying. Bitcoin collapses 7%. Here's what you need to know. And he's got a big red arrow pointing down. The number one fundamental reason we're bearish on Bitcoin, big red chart pointing down. The Bitcoin storm, things are about to get crazy with his price going down. And the other guy, crypto holders are not prepared for what's coming, right? Last chance, blow off top coming. Crypto is about to explode. Time to buy the dip. Two altcoins ready for massive profit. They've got the 100% diametrically opposed message,
Right.
right? So who do you listen to? You have to come with a very big, healthy dose of skepticism when you're putting your faith and trust in these personalities who, they're getting views. Part of their business model is maybe they're
Use.
trading, but it's views. If they get enough views, they get thousands of dollars from YouTube as a
Yep.
ad
Yep.
revenue cut. Um, and even besides that money, we all have our own perspective. So it's on the individual not to put too much faith in any one source. Unfortunately, you do have to look at both sides of the coin and you have to make that decision, that determination. I've started realizing and saying for a while that it's so much easier to decide what to buy crypto if you have a good long-term approach, because whether this guy is right, if now it's going down or up, if you're dollar cost averaging every month a little bit based on your means, what you can afford, because you believe in the long term potential,
Mhm.
that statistically, historically, is the most reliable way to make gains.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're going to cash in on those gains because you might not sell at the right time. And that's a topic that we can cover another time.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's about knowing when to exit. I think as we've been talking about more than when to enter, but it bears repeating, and I'm not a big trader guy of any kind, but I'm always watching, I'm always listening. I'm in this industry for years. I've been in business for decades. Everybody tells you the same thing from Buffett to, you know, Peter Drucker to, they're all the same stuff to say. Like, if I just bought and held, I would have done better. right. I forget who it was talk I was listening to recently. He's pretty famous. He's out there a lot. I should know his name. But anyway, he was just saying like, I thought I was making all these great trades. I was legit like, I was buying at a short-term bottom and then selling a month later, like getting within 10% of the top. And he's like, I was riding, and then something told me to go and look and do a little analysis. Had I just bought at my first point and stayed, would I have made more or less? And he found out he would have made more. If he just gone with his
Wow.
first trade and just put what the same amount in, the 100K or whatever he ended up, trading with over time. He's like, all those hours. But you think about that, there is an opportunity cost too, right? Even if you're passively doing it, I don't care if you're just taking a shit in a shower and listening to your favorite Bitcoin crypto predictor. You could have been listening to some David Goggins stuff and learn how to become a real badass, or learn how to code, or I don't know, learn how to, get better at sex. I mean, something that might add value. And all you had to do was to be this crypto genius was to go up to your exchange, send your money, buy, and forget about it. Right now, there's value in learning about finance, no question. Nobody's going to deny that. And invariably, if you get into trading, it's going to bring you down the rabbit hole of finance, right? Fundamentals, what moves markets and so on. But I mean, that's a point of diminishing returns after a while. You're going to get the basics down. That's great. A financial education is important, but at the end of the day, thinking that you're going to time markets is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. No one's ever done it successfully, predictably, right? Anybody who's ever actually pulled it off will tell you they were lucky. They were
Yeah,
lucky.
if your friend there is trading short term and just 10% away from the top each time he exits and feeling pretty good, and then he realizes if he'd have just held, he'd have high gains. If he can focus every bit of attention on selling within 10% of the macro cycle top, right, which might be 24, 25, then he's gonna like do a tremendous amount better. And that's really what I'm realize. That's what I'm focusing on is I don't want to try and trade short-term swings and day trading and 4 hour time frame. Like you said, it's the opportunity cost even more than anything, the amount of time you really have to pay attention, because if you miss that minute,
Yeah.
then your psychology takes over. You play mind games on yourself and you think, all right, let me just wait, if I'm just going to sit here until it recovers that bit, then I'm going to sell. And then it's like 12:45 at night. I haven't eaten dinner, I've been watching it, I'm now late to get to sleep, I've
Yeah.
messed up my pattern for the next day, and I don't have my trade. It is not worth doing that. But unfortunately, this is what people get stuck into in the early part of trading. So I really I haven't finished it yet, but I'm working on this guide called something like um, crypto seller's guide, right? Not a
Yeah.
crypto buyer's guide.
Mm-mm.
Crypto buyer's guide, we don't really need that. But
No.
crypto seller's guide is what I'm working on. But I am curious about what AI can start to do for us in this area. And I know that you've got something that you can introduce and demo. So I'm pretty keen myself to see what
Yeah.
you've got there.
Yeah, so I've been, Chat GPT, right? Everybody's using it for different things. And let me just start here. I'll show the screen share of what I have going on, and it's really interesting. The data function, right? And so, for those of you who aren't as familiar, you've got ChatGPT 3.5. That's the older model, free. ChatGPT 4 is really, a big leap. So I recommend, if you're gonna use this and try to do anything with the information that might involve your money, don't be cheap and use ChatGPT 3.5. Use GPT-4. It's a much better model. And then here's this little advanced data analysis function. This comes with the plus, but this is where you can load documents. You can see down here, you've got the upload file. I can click that. It's going to bring up my files. And what I did here was I took a download from Yahoo. Yep. It was Yahoo Finance. I believe it's about the last 30 days of Bitcoin prices in a CSV document. And that's what I have over here. Um, and I just said, analyze, I'll do it again, but analyze the CSV document. Tell me theoretically what the next 10 days of September should look like. And so that's over here. I'm going through, I'm grabbing my document. Very simple. Put your prompt in, and then here we go. Let's see what the magic happens.
And presumably you could have a spreadsheet with like a year or 5 years worth of
Sure.
historical data and put that in there.
Yeah, the big leap here is that prior to that, you had something in ChatGPT called a token window, effectively, of how much information you can put in an individual prompt. So, in an individual, the little box in the bottom, and that's been 8K tokens, which is, I forget exactly how many words or whatever, but it's not that much information. This has allowed you to add much more by uploading documents. You can add a lot of information in, and the prompt that the window that you're in, the chat that you're in, will remember that information, right? So, um, here we go. It's taking a look here. It analyzed the document. It figured out what kind of data you have, and then it said, "We'd like you to focus on predicting the pros and cons for the next 10 days of September." Well, let me get back over here. Sure. Why not? Please do. Tell me how to get rich.
Hmm.
So it'll normally tell you what kind of analysis it'll do, which is great. It always spells it out. Um, so it's not a mystery. You don't understand, what's going on. Randomly what it's doing. So here it goes. On this one, it just said, here's some of your statistics for the
All
close
right.
price.
So I just want to jump in. I just realized what you're actually showing is that this is a back testing algorithm, and presumably you can tell it which technical indicators to make use of.
Hmm. Yep. And it said here that the mean over the close price for 10 days would be about 23 standard deviation. It's predicting a minimum of 15.7, and it's giving the percentiles and so on, the maximum of 32. Now so it gives you more. Let's visualize the time series data, so it's really nice. It'll bring you along. So, like, for me,
Mm,
I don't know anything about this, right?
mhm.
I don't know anything about, I barely know T and A. I thought that was tits and ass until Gab, um, it was a crypto predictor or financial predictor thing. So I know nothing. So here we go. Now it's showing you, um, this chart, and then it's going to say, yeah. And it's asking me there are various techniques. So ARIMA, profit, machine learning based methods. Do you have a preference? I don't know. Let's say machine learning based methods, right? That's why we came to the show. Show me the money, machine learning or AI. I don't do stuff that, my grandpa can do. Give me the good stuff. Of course you think it's a good choice. You're an AI. So, it just, I'm imagining if you really know what you're doing and you understand these models of analysis and you get yourself some good chunks of data, you can probably get some really killer insight. And ChatGPT is neutered, so to speak, to not give you financial advice, right? So you have
Mhm.
to go around that a little bit. You can't just say, tell me how to make a lot of money trading Bitcoin in the next month. It's not going to give you much, right? You have to use it as more of a, what's to say here? Use the train model to make forecast. Yes, go. Yes. You have to just ask it to do analysis more than anything than to just say, how can I make a bunch of money? It's not going to do that.
Mhm.
Why? I don't really know. I mean, who cares? It's an AI. You should be able to get it to do whatever you want it to do within reason. But whatever, OpenAI doesn't want everybody bitching that ChatGPT told them to sell their Bitcoin, I guess, and then it blows up or something. Um, And then, yeah, if it has problems, it'll, like, fix it in this really
Wow.
interesting. Yeah. Um, what I guess it's doing in the background is a fair amount of Python. For those of you who are a little more technically inclined, it's actually running Python scripts. Um, so yeah, it'll correct and it'll rerun the forecasting. It's really interesting, but I'm guessing, so here it is. Here's the That's given you by day. Here it is. All right. It's gonna go up tomorrow, apparently. Look at that. Oh, beautiful little chart. Oh, I'm a trader. I'm a trader, Gav. I'm all in. Look, it's at 25.8 right now. It says tomorrow it's gonna close 27.7. We're gonna make
Well,
3 grand tomorrow on our BTC.
we'll come back and verify that in tomorrow's episode, right?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm always down. So there you have it. There's my little, tidbit here on how to use ChatGPT's data function to become a billionaire, obviously.
Yeah, that no, that is really like we're slightly tongue in cheek there, but really it's amazing how quickly that stuff is evolving. And no
Mhm.
doubt, like I worked on a backtesting product for crypto in 2018. We had a little development team, and it took months to get anything that was even close
Mhm.
to relevant and useful. And it was buggy and it was clunky and it needed better user experience and all of this stuff. If you can just pull up an AI bot and it can tap into, I didn't know what some of those things were that it just said,
Mm.
Arima and like
Yep.
whatever stuff. If there's a selection, and then if you can combine them, so you can use traditional technical analysis along with the sophistication of modern machine learning algorithms, whatever they're doing, and combine those together, and as long as you can stuff in enough historical data, then yeah, maybe it is going to be able to help people because algos do work for a period of time.
Mhm.
They tend to stop working when too many people use them or the market conditions change significantly. But no doubt there will be people that will be able to put that stuff together and trade on it and be successful.
The other thing apparently that they can do, as I was looking into this a little more, sentiment analysis, apparently it's excellent at. So somebody was showing where they were getting bunch of Bitcoin comments from somewhere online and having ChatGPT will do sentiment analysis of the wording, like, and give you really sophisticated, like, accurate analysis of what everybody's saying. So that's kind of an interesting thing too that I'm sure could, if you could get again, if you get enough of that, I don't know exactly how you'd go about it, but interesting, interesting ways to process information, as you said, so much more rapidly and with so little work. Whereas it would have just taken, an entire technical team to write the programs that it just did that too. It was writing programs in the background. That's what you're not seeing under the hood, but it was writing Python scripts. That's how amazing that is. So
What also might be interesting, back to the slightly like the previous conversation about with the demos that I made on Twitter, these guys having different opinions, is to put in all of the predictions that other people have made historically, like just load up their channel or their website or something and ask ChatGPT, how accurate has this person
mhm,
been over the past couple of years? That might be very, very interesting.
that's doable. Maybe we should offer that service actually, because if there's I think there's even just plugins now, but if not, there are other ways, right, where you can scrape the Twitter data from somebody's account. And yeah, you could load it all in just like that, and it would do it for you. Pretty much automate the entire process. Quite interesting.
I think data is going to help make us more honest.
Yep. Help.
It's like the thing of China with having a closed internet, not accessing the global internet, and then they get to control what people
Mhm.
see and therefore what they believe. North Korea, even orders of magnitude more tyrannical than China. And then when you open up and you have access to the internet, although there's a whole bunch of nonsense on the internet, you've got to use your discernment and put together your strategy. Again, back to that question of who do you listen to? But I think being able to listen to good quality data sets,
Mhm.
if you can see what the algorithm is supposed to do, how it analyzes the information without giving bias, it can cut out human bias. Fascinating new world that we're very, very quickly moving into.
No, and, um, like you were showing earlier, these people that can reuse stuff, right? They're ripping off somebody else's account or whatever, that's gonna get increasingly more difficult because it is gonna get caught really rapidly, right? I mean, people are gonna go, "No, no, 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 that's so and so's chart," right? And I really hope that is the result because we need that. Um, because what's scaring me about AI is its other capabilities to perpetuate, bad information and how
Mm,
rapidly you could create mountains of propaganda, basically, and very convincing propaganda to support whatever it is that you want to sort of flood social media with. The faking of people's faces and voice, right? That's all coming in at levels that people could never have imagined even a few years ago. And so we talked earlier when we were discussing kind of this idea of skepticism and curiosity, right? You know, get curious, look into things, don't take anybody's word for anything because it's so easy to confirm. Don't be intellectually lazy because again, that is where there's value too, because you're not going to learn. If you can go research somebody, you're going to learn how did they get there? What methods are they using? You're probably going to have to look up those methods a little bit and learn a little bit about them. But that journey in and of itself will be worth money because it's an investment in your head, in your mind. But then, it'll allow you to be a healthy skeptic. It'll allow you to be able to kind of look at somebody and say, okay, is this person on the level, can I trust anything they're saying or not? Or is this just entertainment value? And we talk a lot about business, but it's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in entrepreneurship. You have to learn how to analyze things in a way that eliminates bias as much as possible. So your own, and allows you to use data in a way that will work for you. Get you closer to truth. Right? That's what you're looking for. You're looking for the truth. Your emotions don't matter. Bitcoin doesn't give a shit how you feel. Right? It's a number. It's a number. If it's we're talking about investing in it, right? Bitcoin has lots of other great qualities. Gav and I are here for those reasons, so don't jump on us for that. But if you're talking about making money, it's a number. It's a very cold, hard thing. It doesn't give a shit if you're happy or sad. It's going to be whatever price it's going to be when you're ready to sell and whatever when you're ready to buy. So you have to try to inhabit that. You know, I mean, you might like a certain crypto YouTuber. Who gives a shit? Can't be in. How much you like the person can't filter into whether or not you should listen because that's not a factor.
yeah, if I connect a few different dots in terms of business, intellectual honesty, knowing the data, not being skeptical, not making assumptions, seeing past your bias. I learned very early on in my career um, a little bit about how to do that just by using split tests. And
Yep.
I also realized how much people hang on to their own personal biases. Um, and it really require even in the face of even in the face of data, they still resist the data, which is fair enough. And they need some extra validation, but split testing really helps. So if you're a business person, you have a team that's putting together a landing page, a sales page. If you can drive traffic and if you can test different ideas, different headlines, different images, different whatever,
Hmm.
um, you can be very surprised at the reality of what results, even with a limited range of changes. And you will definitely be surprised, I can guarantee. Just a change from a headline, everything else on the page can stay the same. Just
Hmm.
change the headline. And you think, well, it's kind of says the same kind of thing, no big deal. The conversion rate of the page can be radically, drastically different.
Huge.
And it's really stunning when you actually observe that and see that. And I think that early on helped me quite a bit in my early career.
No, I bet. As someone who's done a fair amount of internet writing, not a lot, but I like writing. And I've always, kind of wished I was a blogger in some way. It's so frustrating because it can just be you feel like you write something really great, but you don't get the right headline and possibly even the right picture, nobody looks at it. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I remember I had a post that I wrote like almost as a reactionary, like fuck you kind of in a way to an issue. And I wrote a provocative headline, something I just wouldn't normally do, and it went nuts. I
Mm,
was one of those woke up the next day and there were 3,000 views where I'm used to getting like 80 at the time, right? Like
mm.
that's a big day for me. The thing's still going. It's on my Medium account. It's about
Wow.
relationships and stuff. And it just because of the headline, I got everybody pissed off in the headline for the bulk of it. Well, fair amount of people agreed with me, but most didn't. And that's also another confirmation about, when people are pissed, get people, you want to get a lot of views, piss people off, right? It's the easiest way because they get so active and they take action and they comment and they get really engaged. It is what it is.
Well, this is funny as well. It like relates to the those two different YouTuber accounts. People will follow the one that they have a close affinity to. They're what is it called? The bias. Can't think of the phrase. But if I'm just generally more optimistic about crypto, then I'll prefer the guy confirmation bias,
Yeah.
right? That's the phrase. I'll go with that guy. And if I'm like skeptical, I think if I think the economy is about to collapse, the stock market's going down, and Biden this, that, and the other, then I might favor the other guy. But
Hmm.
it's a lot of confirmation bias at the end of the day. So it does speak to being able to self-educate, getting more awareness, using tools like AI that can actually bring you a wider variety of intelligence into
Yep.
your awareness. And keep listening to our podcast because although we might not know where the share the screen button is, we're gonna figure that stuff out, and we're gonna be able to roll out a lot of psychological principles that we use and that will help folks navigate the coming 5, 10 years because things are changing. I don't think anyone can really deny that things are changing. We just have to figure out how to navigate it to survive and thrive.
Right. They're changing rapidly. And this is one of those classic unprecedented opportunity, but also unprecedented risk in many ways. Speaking of, we were talking about trying to end the show with something a little bit of what we are calling like a hidden alpha. I think you had something today about Twitter.
Yeah, I just my personal alpha at the moment, I think it's underutilized is Twitter lists. So often you think you have to follow everyone on Twitter so that you can keep track of what's going on with it. And then you miss the people you really want to follow because you're following like 3,000 other people.
Hmm.
List Lists is a way to not have to follow people so they show up on your feed, but you
Uh,
can go and check the list that is a particular topic. So you might have a list on health, a list on exercise, a list on startup, a list on crypto, a list on whatever, and you
hmm.
can just go and have a look at that list. So you're focusing in just to that topic, and then you can go and find all of the information and the people that you've added to that list without it blowing up and spoiling your general. Uh, so I find that very practical, very useful at the moment. I think I had one other well, just to say X Premium. So it used to be called TweetDeck, and Twitter have added some other stuff. But TweetDeck is now part of X Premium, and that's if you want to be in the Twitter game. If you're a founder, if you want to do research, if you want to do that personal branding that we spoke about the other day,
Hmm.
then take a look at what they're doing with X Premium because it includes a different layout of Twitter, and you can put things in columns so
Hmm.
you can scan across from left to right and really organize your lists as well as other views of the information. It's lot more sophisticated than just Twitter alone. I enjoy it. It's one good solid tip for people who want to get engaged with the Twitter sphere and the conversation happening.
Yeah, and I actually just did that myself on my personal account, and I did notice a difference in engagement. right out of the gate. Now, maybe that's a little trick they do. I don't know. After you sign up, they throw you in the algorithm a little more, and they make you think that you just bought the world's greatest value of all time. But no, it also allows you to do a little bit more with your posts too, right? Like I think you have a longer window now, so you can write a little more. You don't have to just resort to threads. But these little things sometimes can make such a big difference in what you're trying to do. And if you're a founder and you're saying like, well, I don't really care about social media, well, social media cares about you and your business cares about social media because that's the reality. There's no getting around it. I'm not saying you got to be some social media slut and out there every day commenting on everybody's posts and tweeting 400 things, but be methodical. Talk about your project and a little bit about yourself. You have to be a little bit vulnerable on social media too. And again, it doesn't mean you got to tell all your private desires and goings on, but, you know, uh, um,
Have a personality. That's
yeah, if you're
it.
just gonna write like "so psyched today about NGen's day," like, shut up, man. Like, no, everybody knows you're full of shit. Like, maybe you are psyched that day, but when you say it every single damn day, people realize that you're just not a human being anymore. So don't be afraid to
I
talk to people. It works.
100%, exactly. I remember when I was reporting to a chairman at a data management company, like 2008 or 9, I think. He asked me, "Gav, what is this social media thing? I don't understand it." And it's like you got to publish some stuff, and what, like you're gonna get seen. What's this? I think maybe Twitter was maybe newish at the time. Was I can't remember when Twitter came out, but it was that kind of early stage, and people didn't understand social media. I think people still don't understand it. And what I said to the chairman was, think of it like a conversation, a way to have a conversation with people that you want to follow, you want to like your peers or people you want to influence in the industry that we were in, or the customers, people that you want to be able to engage with, and they will know you, like you, and trust you, develop a relationship, and then they'll come and do business with you. And I think that fundamental principle still applies to using social media today. Put your personality out there, but
Mhm.
not just that you're pushing content out, but be part of the conversation. Get in there, add some comments on relevant other
Yep.
Twitter accounts. Be part of the conversation that's happening.
Yeah, you need to do that, and it's an unprecedented opportunity, like you're saying, to talk to your customers first of all. This stuff used to cost. The history of this with marketing and getting market data used to cost. I mean, companies were $1 billion companies who that's all they did, right? They just collected market data on every damn market on earth, and you bought it for thousands of dollars to find out how many people are buying this, how many people are selling, whatever, and now you can just ask them what did you think of our latest release? Right. And again, that's the conversation, but talk to people too. Don't just talk at them. If people are commenting on your stuff, you need to say something. You don't have to comment on every single post, if you're real, start to have a sizable following, but interacting with people is what it's about. And it's just going to give you a lot more, you
And
know,
don't
trust.
And yeah, trust and so don't get defensive when you're having those conversations. It's
Exactly.
be open, be polite, be kind, appreciate
Mhm.
people, show gratitude, be human, have that person like authentic human personality, and you can develop genuine, deep relationships. And that's the way to do social media
Yeah.
these days.
And thick skin, though, thick skin.